Short questions, short answers by Torah teacher Ariel and eBible. Copyright Dates Torah Ministries 2015. All rights reserved. The question for tonight is, what does it mean that the Jerusalem above is free and she is our mother? What does that mean? All right, so we're going to be talking about this difficult Midrash that shows up right in the middle of the book of Galatians, and it's going to be helpful for us to get the context. Let me read the verse. 24, now this may be interpreted allegorically. These women are two covenants. One is from Mount Sinai, bearing children for slavery. She is Hagar. Verse 25, now Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia. She corresponds to the present Jerusalem, for she is in slavery with her children. And 26, but the Jerusalem above is free, and she is our mother. Galatians 4, 24 through 26, as rendered from the ESV. All right, this is going to be a difficult passage to explain in this brief time, but I'll do my best. Paul introduces an allegory, a Jewish Midrash, by way of the biblical narrative about Father Abraham and his offspring. Whatever the reasons for introducing this allegory into his letter at this point, the interpretation of the allegory is quite to the point. A line of demarcation is being drawn in the sand between who is a genuine covenant member and who is not. Okay. The son of Abraham by the slave woman, understood to be Ishmael even though he's not named directly, is likened to those seeking to be justified by human means, by the works of the law, by circumcision, by legal Jewish identity. This is one door that's being presented in the book of Galatians. Comparatively, the son of Abraham by the free woman, which is Isaac, is likened to those seeking to be justified by faith in Yeshua, Jesus, as the promised Messiah, without becoming Jewish first. That's the other door, or the other gospel that's being presented to the Galatian readers. So we got two doors, two gospels, as it were. Which one's the true one? To strengthen the truth of his illustration, Paul mentions that Ishmael was born when Abraham succumbed to his flesh, the way ordinary human beings procreate, while Isaac was born not according to human effort, but by divine fiat, after Abraham and Sarah were in reality too old to physically copulate for the sake of creating children. And this becomes crucial for Paul's explanation. The Greek word for allegorically in Galatians 4:24 is the Greek root word allegoreo, from where we get our English word allegory. Paul now reveals the core truth of his homily by explaining that he's referencing to two opposing covenants, illustrated using the unnamed Sarah and the named Hagar. Paul also wants his readers to understand that to expect right standing with God according to the flesh, that is, according to Jewish social status, is to be identified with a covenant of slavery, the covenant with Hagar and her offspring. That's not to say that being Jewish is slavery, but using it as a doorway to salvation is wrong. This covenant with Hagar and her offspring relates to where the Torah of Moses was given, because that's where the present Judaisms of Paul's day all look to for the origins of the nation of Israel as a people, because it's there that God covenantally married, as it were, his bride Israel. So it's natural for him to describe Mount Sinai and things like that. That was nothing new for Paul's day. Even though Paul specifically states that Hagar equals Mount Sinai and corresponds to present city Jerusalem, oddly enough, Paul does not mention Sarah by name, nor does he say which mountain and city she stands for, if any, right? That's kind of an odd feature of the allegory. What he does say specifically is that the Jerusalem that is above is free, in opposition to the slave city earthly Jerusalem, and that this heavenly Jerusalem is our mother. Now, more on these distinctions, we're going to read about them below, but we need to get that kind of established first. I'm sure in Paul's mind, it is a sad declaration that his beloved and beautiful earthly Zion, the city of God spoken of in Psalm 87:3, has to be identified in his allegory as a city in slavery with her children in order for his readers to come to their senses. But this is the length, I believe, to which Paul will go to shock his readers into reality, to flirt with the prospect of going through conversion for the wrong reasons, is to be seen in God's eyes as going back into slavery. It is possible that one could understand these verses as proof positive that the Old Covenant stemming from Mount Sinai represents slavery and must be replaced by the New Covenant stemming from the heaven to Jerusalem that offers freedom. We could possibly look at it that way, right? I'm not going to discount that. And this would actually be true only if we were to interpret the terms Old Covenant as old nature and New Covenant as new nature. Because indeed, all things do become new in Christ. Read 2 Corinthians 5:17, right? That is important for us to understand. Check out my podcasts, which are available on iTunes. You can search for me in the store under the search term Ariel Hanavi. But if you prefer to watch your theology, check out my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click the bell for notifications. New content is added weekly or even daily.